Drake Oil has been speaking with representatives at City Hall about expanding into the single-family neighborhood adjacent to their operations. They've been thinking of getting into the refinery business, sensing an opening in jet fuel, which is one of the few types of petroleum-based fuels still utilized today for intercontinental flights. Planners at City Hall advised that this would require a comprehensive plan amendment, changing the land use in the area from residential and commercial to industrial. This kind of change requires a public hearing and a mailing sent to all potentially impacted property owners, so everyone who would have their future land use changed, as well as everyone within a quarter mile of those properties. But reasonably, everyone in the community is interested, and most people are very, very concerned. A new group forms in opposition to this change, Verde Beach Residents for a Clean Future. They are concerned about the proximity to residential, the visual impact on the core of the city, and supporting the fossil fuel industry generally. They block roads near Drake's operations and begin flooding council members' inboxes with complaints about the proposal. Things culminated with a mysterious fire being set to a plastics warehouse one evening. Rumor has it that Marcel, the construction worker who built the Jubilee car factory, may have lit the fire himself. The fire caused Drake Oil to withdraw their proposal, but they weren't done with this idea. Their CEO, Jimmy Clifford, reached out to Ken Sterling, yes, those Sterlings, who is the owner of a large flat parcel of land near the new industrial park that just so happens to be outside of the city limits and nowhere near any property owners that would have to be notified of a comprehensive plan amendment. They acquire the land, perform the necessary planning and engineering, and take a complete plan set to the county. And because Ken owns all of the nearby land, he's the only one who receives a notice. Well, Ken in Clearwater Southern, who was promised free land for a cargo train terminal and significant business from the new operation. Verde Beach Residents for a Clean Future catch wind of the development, but only before the final vote occurs at the county board meeting. Though there's fervent opposition, the developers have had months to explain the project and build a rapport with the county board, and the project is approved at a vote of 18-2. Today, we're relocating Drake Oil's operations, and we're going to build a new oil refinery. We'll also add a new cargo train terminal and make connections to the Weaver Industrial Park. Thanks for the name, sir. But before we jump in, if you like the idea of an expanded oil industry, hit the like button. And if you'd rather see the environmentalists win, hit the like button for that too, and let me know what you prefer in the comments with an emoji representing how you feel. Without any further ado, let's jump right in. Hello, welcome back to City Planner Plays, where we are building the city of Verde Beach, or rather we're building just outside of it. We're going to build our new refinery and Drake Oil right about here on this flat piece of land near the highway and near our previous industrial build. So this is a great location for a number of reasons. First of all, we are going to be able to make a direct freeway access right here, which is going to be really important to getting some of the raw materials in this area because we are going to have some processing in this area. We also have easy access to our rail lines, so we're going to build a new cargo freight facility. We're likely going to need to bump that up and do some creative things over here. So we have direct access to our rail line for at least the movement out of town, which I think is going to be at least good enough in this location. And then we have the ability to make a connection into this previous build and potentially take some of the benefits of that new cargo rail terminal and spread them out over here. We do have a lot of storage over here. It'd be nice to be able to load these up rather than by a car, by a train. So there are a number of reasons why I love this location. So let's get building. And I think the very first thing that we're going to do is actually place our refinery. So let's look at our contours and think about where we want this to go. Now, I talked about wanting to elevate our cargo terminal. So this is already a place where there's a natural elevation. So I'm going to back this out a bit further. And then the other consideration is I'm going to need a train line here to back out into this area. So I want to be able to kind of pull this off here and then turn in. So I need to go further back this way. So I'm thinking we're going to come over here, and this is 10. I'm going to go another 10 back, and we're just going to draw a straight line. And I want to place our refinery. And we can see that this site is very, very flat, but it's not completely flat. You see we're encroaching a bit. I am going to grade the heck out of this, and I think that that is totally appropriate in this location. We're not going to just slam a bunch of buildings together. I want to be able to take this area and make it feel like it has a presence. So we're going to add parking around here. That's something that I would expect this kind of facility to have a ton of employees, scientists, operators in these facilities, a whole bunch of people. And then even though it's it's not actually necessary. I want to add some of the oil tanks around here. So I took a look at this refinery here in Superior, Wisconsin, and I wanted to find a refinery that wasn't right on the coast, and this one kind of fits the bill. The nice thing about this is it gives me an idea of how I should build this. So believe it or not, I don't know anything about refineries. So that said, I want to be able to build this in a way that maybe feels a little bit natural. So that is spreading things out a little bit, not being afraid of a little bit of empty space, saving room for future expansion, and then having tons of parking for this sort of facility. And thankfully, we have our CPP parking lots. So we are going to absolutely load these up. I want to create a pedestrian connection through, and this is as good a place for a pedestrian connection as I can see. It seems like this is a gate where you could walk through, and on this side, I don't really know, but we're going to call it a gate. Maybe one of these is a door. So we'll do the exact same thing over here. And if you want access to this asset, it is available in the Steam workshop. Again, I consider this vanilla because I created this asset in the asset editor. And I don't want to stop there with the parking. I think we need more. So let's do one more row. And it's kind of fitting if you think about it, because it is an oil refinery. Of course, they would expect everyone to drive here. So for the time being, I'm going to turn this off and we will deal with that down the line. But I want to do one thing. I know that I'm going to have pedestrian paths through here. And if I'm going to have that, I need folks to be able to walk through here. So I'm going to upgrade this, and that looks pretty terrible. Let's figure out a better way to make this crossing. I'm going to line this up at the edge of the parking lots. And now I'm going to go with this median with trees, and we'll connect that up right there. This gives me 2 crosswalks, which maybe isn't ideal, but I think it's a lot better than we had before. And the nice thing is that is a bit of a refuge island as well. And while I'm thinking about it, we have all of this parking available on these streets. Let's get rid of that. Maybe this. We'll do this. So we'll have the grass terrace on the side. We don't need extra wide sidewalks. It's kind of weird. And now before we get too far along, I want to think about roadway hierarchy. So right off the bat, I am going to upgrade this rear road to be a 4-lane collector. All right, now that we have this, I want to start thinking about maybe the cargo train facility. I want to do something a little bit different. So I want to build this up and create a retaining wall in vanilla. So I'm going to pull this out here. So a couple of things to notice that I'm doing right now. I am maintaining a bit of a trough here. The reason why I'm working on this right now is we're going to be doing a lot with the water, because to create a retaining wall, I actually have to create a little place with water, also known as a moat. And then I'm going to need to create my retaining wall and then dry it out. So it's going to take a little while. So this is important. If you're going to do something like this, make sure you have other things to do after, because it's going to take a long time for it to normalize, for the water to evaporate, and for things to come back to normal. I think I might go a little bit higher. It just seemed like it wasn't quite strong enough, at least not for my tastes. And I ran out of soil, and I know that we're going to want to continue to level some of this out. So I'm just going to pull some of this soil from over here, and we can feather that out later. But no need to buy soil when I'm going to trench a whole bunch, and then I'll need to figure out what to do with all that soil anyway. So, and now speaking of the trench, here it is. I'm just digging right down. What I'm going to do is mirror this a bit. So I want to grab my road guideline now. I'm going to back this out to about here. And then let's draw this. It's perfectly straight and aligned with this. And I want this to more or less mirror this. I want this to end a little bit before this one though, because remember, this is our collector through here. And let's keep the distance to be about the same. So this is 280 in distance. So 280 up here would be right there. So that's where we'll end this one. And I don't think that's quite far enough for our train terminal. So maybe I won't do it that. I won't make it quite so even. I think I need at least that much space. So now I'm flattening this so I can run this road along the side. I want this parallel facility right here. And now I can trench this down again. Now remember, again, I am trenching this because I'm going to fill this up with water so I can add a retaining wall. One of the things that can be tricky about this is if you don't have, like, it looks right here like there is soil. I assure you there is not. So if I don't have that soil, I won't be able to actually place the retaining wall in a very straight way. So I've got to make sure that there's enough on the side. Always something to keep in mind when you're doing this. All right, there we go. Now we are ready to go. Now, I know that some people don't love the Natural Disasters DLC, but here's one of the reasons you might like it, and that is because you get this freshwater outlet. What this is going to allow me to do is load this up with water, and let's see if my power is jumping. It is not. So I'm going to jump power here temporarily, and truthfully, we're probably going to need power here anyway, so maybe I'll just make the permanent power facility. And then we'll put the water pipes diagonal across the road exactly where they don't belong, but that's going to work just fine. And now that we have that, we're going to start to see this fill up with water. Let's fill this up with water, and then I'm going to pause it. It's moving far enough along that I think I can get started. So I want to leave at least 1 unit separation in between this road and my new quay wall. So I'm going to use the guidelines here, look from the top on, and then back it out. And now I can grab the road guideline for this quay wall. Now look at how bad that looks. We are going to fix that, but it's going to take just a moment. And I'm also concerned, it looks like this road is actually way too close, and I can't actually fill this in with water. So we are going to have to meander that road around. Not a big deal. There we go. We'll let that fill in. In the meantime, let's get this fixed. And the way that we do that is I talked a little bit about not having the wall actually extend beyond the road. That is exactly what that is. So what I'm going to do is just come through here. I grabbed this terrain height and just pulled it around the corner. And that is better, but still not perfect. The other thing is you could just keep extending your quay wall basically as far as you can before it gets mad at you and starts dipping a whole bunch. And now it's kind of flopping around. So I'm going to turn angle and road guidelines on only. And now it clips nicely. And look at that. That is pretty darn good. I can deal with that. We'll pull the exact same thing over here. And around here, we'll do the same thing. There we go. There we go. Got our quay wall all the way around there. And that means that we can get rid of this bad boy. That is going to be very helpful. And let's just get rid of our water pipe while we're at it. We'll come back and we'll do something a little more proper in a minute. Now, you could do a couple of things to get rid of this water. You could just wait for it to evaporate out. We are going to just keep playing the game though. And the way that we're going to handle this, let's find a spot where it'll let us place this thing. I actually probably should have kept that water line there. And then we'll run our power back here. And you can see it's already soaking up all the water. I'm going to let this run. It's not going to fully take care of it though. And it's kind of amazing how much water has made its way through here. It just seems like it's never ending. While we're waiting for this to empty out, I'm going to place our cargo train facility. Now, I know that this road right here has got to go. So I'm going to eliminate this one. And then here, I just want to be able to get across. There we go. That's the ticket right there. We got it just over. There we go. That is much better. We can see that this is almost dried out. And this is exactly why we decided to do this while we were working on other projects. All right, there we go. So now we just have to make one last connection over here, and Clearwater Southern is happy. And I'm going to give a ton of distance here. First of all, I think we're going to get an absolute crush once this thing finally opens. It's going to be pretty crazy. So let's give ourselves some distance so we don't break the rest of our network. And yeah, there's a little bit of a bump there that I don't love. I'm just going to keep going back and forth on this. I'm going to go nuts. That is worse than before. All right, I probably should have just done this in the first place. I got all the way across the highway going straight and had kind of a steep turn here, but it's fine. I'm going to step away from the rail. It's not my specialty, and I don't know that I'm making things better, but I do like the way that this has turned out. The one thing I wish that I would have given more space for is it would have been nice to have a nice turnaround right here. I may actually do that. So I know you're probably going, oh my goodness, what is he doing? Get it right the first time because it's going to be impossible to fix down the line. So I'm going to do this, just pull this out a little ways. All right, there we go. And you can see the outlines of what we're working with. This is going to be really, really nice. Now I'm going to run this road back here. The purpose of this road is to act as the main connection outside of this area to our previous area. So I'm going to change the direction of this road, get it right down the center here. And then we need to find out where we're going to connect this. I'm thinking that this road right here might be the perfect fit. Before we were prioritizing this other movement, I think that this movement here is going to be less important after we connect up to this cargo facility. So I'm going to actually reroute this road. This is all right of way, so I have the ability to do some things. And then here, they are going to give up some of their private property for access to this train facility, and you better believe they would jump at this in a heartbeat. I don't want to wholesale take this out. We just built it. So I'm going to send this road through here, and then we'll slope up here. That'll be the compromise. What I want to do now is sever that connection here, and let's rethink this just a bit. So I'm going to use the curved road tool. We'll find that guideline, and apparently I won't actually. And I think it's the fences that are kind of screwing it up. So I will guess right about there. And the node's in the wrong spot, so we'll need to change this. And that's much better. We do have some weird fence stuff happening here. We spent enough time on this last time that we're not going to just wholesale destroy everything that we've done in the past. So there we go. We've got that connection made now. That is looking pretty darn good. All right, so through here, we're going to continue that, and we're going to upgrade this. And I think you can see what I've done now. We have this nice collector facility. It's running all the way through here, and it makes some sense. This is what's going to terminate into the highway as well. Now, this is going to carry a lot of traffic back and forth through here. I want to have another roadway going through, kind of connecting around here. So I'm going to run this a little bit further down because we do have a few meters of terrain height. So I'm going to spread that out. We'll just taper this. And you see that the contours are now nice and spread out. There we go. And I'm running this along here. Very specific reason. I want there to be a nice turnaround facility here. And I don't want them to be able to loop back and cross this road. So if we have a median road, they won't cross. And then I want to make this a bit more gentle too. So knowing the vehicles that are here, let's calm this down. There we go. A nice turn through there. Now we have sweeping movements through here, and that's what you need when you have a freight facility. We're going to come back to this facility, and the power icons are kind of driving me crazy. I might just get this thing running just so we stop seeing those. And we're very, very likely going to change those, but for the time being, that'll do the trick for us. I want to draw in some facilities right through here. So I am going to grab just our pavement path and turn off everything. And right in the center of this, we're just going to draw a path. And I very carefully am drawing in some of these gravel paths along the side. This is not at all necessary. I just think it looks neat, and it gives us two different spots where we can add in some landscaping. And you know what? Even though this is an industrial site, I believe it deserves a bit of dignity, and dignity is landscaping in my estimation. Now, before we get to the other side of this, I'm noticing our power kind of flickering on and off, and it's making me wonder what's going on. So I'm going to investigate this a bit. So we'll come and take a look at this. I see the problem already. So this portion of the farm has been running exclusively on wind power. It was never connected. So that is where we are drawing our power from now, and we're creating all sorts of problems. I'm going to add an earthquake sensor up here, and that will at least jump our power across and connect us up with the rest of the city grid. And then maybe there we go. We're good there. Now I want to connect up our water pipes while I'm thinking about it so that this area starts running. I think we're going to see a ton of traffic coming in here right off the bat. Let's just take care of it now. And there we go. This thing is fully operational now. We shouldn't have any problem. Yeah, there we go with our water. So we'll see what happens now. Interestingly, this dipped down. We've got some interesting terrain height issues. I think if we get rid of this, it's not quite as apparent. That still might drive me crazy enough that I fix it. All right, and we've already got traffic coming through here, which means that we really should start to think about the rest of our facility, and I'll enable this. We might as well start making some money. It's going to be real slow. We don't have any storage here, but we'll worry about that in just a minute. And actually, we've got to finish out our landscaping, so let's finish that here as well. There we go. That is now a nice little entryway into here. For the rest of this build, we are going to need to extend Drake Oil over here because we're going to start to place some of our processing buildings and the like over here. But let's at least think about how we connect up with our interstate. We'll turn our contours back on and think about how this happens. So I want to create a small interchange. I'm going to back it way, way out. We'll turn all of our snap twos on down here. And then I'm just going to pop this up. I'm trying to go about 2 units out to give ourselves enough space for the ramp. And then 2 units out on this side as well. Go 12 units out so we get a nice slope there. And then I'm going to take this back another, say 260. And then I'll go another 300 back for the ramp. Now remember, if you're struggling with these and you get it right on one side, you can just draw a line across. There we go. We have everything we need for this to be successful. So I am going to now try to find a way to make this back there. So I'm going to continue with the dirt roads for a while. And I have freeform tool on, and I knock this all the way down to the ground, and I'm just pulling it gently so I can see exactly the longest bridge span I can have so that my slope is as gentle as it can be. And now I'm going to cut into the hillside because I don't want this to go too crazy. So we're going to keep this height here and send it all the way back. There we go. So now we've got this space next to here where we can add in some of our storage tankers, and we're absolutely going to do that. But first, let's get this road upgraded, and we're going to see tons of freeway traffic. And I am curious right off the bat if this is going to get some traffic. I'm also going to convert this. We can have, if we want to think about lane mathematics, this is the appropriate lane mathematics through here. And this is a super simple interchange. And I would encourage you, if you're going to make interchanges, keep it simple. You know, if you don't have a physical constraint to make a fancy interchange, there's no reason to make one. This is just fine. So let's extend Drake Oil over here. We'll grab our industry area and we'll need to pull that over. And you can see Drake is not very big anymore. I'm just going to use the small brush and just draw a tentacle over here. And then we'll grow that tentacle because it's going to be massive. And I think the first place to start is to grab our oil industry main building and formally relocate that over here. And just for the time being, I'm going to set it there. We can figure out exactly where this goes. I don't know if we have enough space in between here, but that would seem to be a nice location for it if we can pull it off. So I'm placing that here, but that's temporary because I want to rotate this around. And there we go. a nice little location for this facility next to the retaining wall, and with easy access to this parking, you could walk back and forth and check out the refinery. All right, I'm going to add in another road through here, and then I want to add a bunch of really large storage tanks. I want a bunch of these over here. So we're going to place these. And it's not going to like it either. So perfect. So the reason it doesn't like what I'm up to is we have our bend in our road. I'm going to take that back and then we'll pull this around. And there we go. Now we're good. In the middle of here, I think we're going to get a little artsy with it, as artsy as you can get with an industrial area. And we'll have some one-ways. There is absolutely no purpose for this, short of someone decided to over-engineer this. And then I'm going to rotate these around to face onto these roads. And look at that crazy crush of truck traffic. I love it. So you'd see these oil tankers, and truthfully, part of me even wishes that there was a bit more space through here, maybe not bike lanes. So we're going to extend this just a bit further. It's a temptation I always fall into, and just grabbing things and ramming them into one another, and you just don't need to. All right, so now we've given it a bit more space, and I think it looks considerably better. I think it's nice to just spread this out. We'll add in some paths through here. And now that we're filling up with crude back here, we have the opportunity to process. And holy cow, this traffic back here is absolutely crazy. Look at this. It's backing up the freeway as everyone tries to come back here, go to this cargo facility. This is loading up. That's got it's going to a crude oil tank. Everyone is going here. That's fine. So we've got these crude oil storage caverns, and I want to add a few of these as well. Again, do we need more oil stored? I don't know. But we're going to go for it. We'll separate these all by one. And I'm going to mirror this on both sides and not respect the topography. I didn't pay attention. Let's see if I can fix that after the fact. I got away with one. And then I'm going to again draw in between here some paths, grid for this one only, and maybe angle as well, because it's kind of acting up, and road length. So basically everything except for road guidelines. And now we need our water pipes right underneath the road, right where they belong. There we go. So we've got plenty of storage. If you were worried that we were going to run out of crude, you are absolutely wrong. Now, for this facility, we're going to need metals, plastics, and petroleum. And to get half of these, so the plastics and petroleum, we need to refine those from all this crude that we have coming in here. So what I'm thinking that we do is we actually just start to refine some of this right here, and maybe have some storage facilities in this location as well. So let's first of all look at our refining operations. We have this naphtha cracker plant, which makes plastics. And then we've also got this waste oil refining plant, makes petroleum. But I think that we're going to add in a few of these plastics refining plants back here. So I've added a few of these around here. We're going to also need storage for all of these. So I think I'm going to place a few smallish storage facilities over here, and then we'll have some significant storage facilities up there for imports. So this one right here will be for petroleum. The other one will be for plastics. I'm actually considering, let's get rid of that one. And we will use this storage facility. So there is a difference between these two storage facilities. If you take a look, what we're seeing is 20 freight trucks out of the small warehouse and only 10 out of the warehouse yard. I think we're going to be okay. I wanted to vary this up a bit. So part of this is just, vanity, which it is, we've got to worry about the way things look. Whoa. And that's why we don't do that. So I'm just going to extend this over, and I figure we'll put 2 of these warehouse yards over here. So we'll keep both of these stocked up with petroleum, and then we'll have plastics in this other one. And that will give us the materials that we need for this. So we should be all loaded up on materials. That shouldn't be our problem anymore. Although we do not have a storage location yet for unique factory goods. We do have a lot of unique factory goods storage over here, which is what we could be seeing a bit of that movement through here as well. I don't want to overreact to the traffic that we're seeing because again, wow, it's going to 73%. Okay, 96% full. Apparently it's going to fill all of these up to the top, which is absolutely ridiculous, but it is what is happening, so we're going to need to just deal with it, I guess. Instead of worrying about that too much, I'm going to worry about some of the land back here, and I want to load this up with a few more storage facilities. So to me, this is one of the better locations for imports because of how the proximity, the direct proximity right here to this facility. So I'm going to back this out about 2 units and then send a road all the way across here. And then my other concern is we have cul-de-saced this. So we might need to find another way out. And I've done one other thing that I'm not super proud of. I meant to leave a gap here so we could come around this side, which I think would be fairly important. So we're going to figure that out. So that road is going to connect to something because it has to. Okay, slight change in our process here, but I think this is going to work out just fine. And this almost makes me wonder if we should have just stuck with our original plan here. We're going to give it a shot. Oh no! Oh no! I have inadvertently deleted a portion of the wall here, which is going to be a significant problem for us. Oh boy. Oh boy. All right, I think that we're just going to need to take a brief second and I will repair this. All right, and by all the water here, you can tell what I had to do. I am not proud of it, but I had to do it. Basically, I had to add in a pump right here and just dump water into a hole that I created here, and I was able to do this. So everything's flooding out. That stinks, but at least we have our retaining wall back. So I'm going to deal with a little bit of that. I apologize to everyone here whose car is now flooded up because the city planner made a poor decision. Okay, so feeling pretty good about that. The one thing that we are missing are workers' barracks. So I think that we're going to need to place those somewhere. So we're going to create like a little community sort of deal back here just for the workers, maybe a little bit secluded off the beaten path a little bit. And it absolutely did not want me to place this building here. So I had to add in a path on the side. And as soon as I added that in, I was able to add this building where I wanted it to be. Now, this is not a very nice place to live. That said, I think that if you've looked up at all oil industries and how some of the problematic living conditions at some of those, look at the boom and bust places like North and South Dakota, Wyoming, what you'll see is that the housing is one of the most scarce resources in those sorts of places. So having something like this available, I think would be huge. So I don't know that they're going to be super sad about having close quarters like this. We're going to add in a basketball court so that the workers could get down with work and go and play. And then we're going to densely landscape around here. And now I've been really getting into adding in some of our old trees. They add in little pops of color. So this is a weird, densely landscaped place. We'll need to rectify that at some point in the future. But for today, I think that there's a purpose for this landscaping and we're going to go with it. Yeah, it's definitely well landscaped. We might just add in some along here as well. We could berm that. There's not as big of a reason to berm it here. So I don't know that that would be the case. What I could see happening would be the city saying, hey, you've got to plant some trees along here. Or not the city, rather the county. And the county's saying, you got to plant some trees along here to hide this from the highway. And they say, okay, yep, we'll do that right in a perfect row. All right, now let's de-cul-de-sac this and add in a couple other features up here. Mainly, I think that we need storage up here, and it's really slowed down the trips that we're seeing here, which means that this must be filling up. You can see that the traffic looks reasonable. Our traffic flows back up to 84. Things have calmed down through here, all because we didn't overreact. Let's add some storage and watch the pandemonium take place again. And I think we're going to go with our medium warehouses. There we go. Power is reestablished. I'm going to sever this road here. We're going to leave this space open for future expansion, and something could come there down the line. Maybe not. Maybe it's fine as is. And then we will also curve this around. Now, in these industrial sites, at least from what I've seen, there's some room for future expansion given at most of the sites. And it makes a lot of sense if you think about it. You just never know what the space needs of a business are going to be, something like this. And some businesses will decide, I'm only going to locate in this site if there's room for future expansion. Especially, I've noticed at least some of the newer industrial sites are kind of poaching from older ones that didn't give that space. So in light of that, they're looking to ensure that in the future they won't have to move again. And let me tell you, moving stinks. I've had a not so fun time moving. There we go. A nice little de-cul-de-sacking of this area, and we can finish off our landscaping in this area as well. And then I'm going to add some fences along the highway here. And we also need a maintenance building through here. So that's another one of our oil industry buildings that we have not placed. It's kind of one of the core ones that you would place initially, normally, but when you're kind of starting fresh of a rebuild, maybe you wouldn't think about it. So I think we're looking pretty good here. At this point, our main concern is making this look a little bit nicer and then eliminating what we had in our old facility. So I think it's the perfect time to landscape a bit. All right, so kind of basic landscaping, and maybe this is a little bit too pretty, but you know what? It makes me happy, and sometimes you just got to do things that make you happy. I could even go a bit further and add a bunch of landscaping along here. If I had anarchy, I probably would. I could still do it. So I'd love to line this with some bushes. Hindsight being 2020, I think it probably would have been smarter to put in the small landscaping first. Thing is, I can only place it when I'm tilted up like this. If I'm like this, for whatever reason, the key wall just takes over and thinks I'm trying to upgrade the key wall to have a certain type of landscaping. I guess maybe I could have done it this way as well. Yeah, it would have let me. I could have gotten away with it like this. It is still a bit finicky though. So I guess if you're going to do this, not just respect your topography, but install your small landscaping first. And then we've got to set these. These are going to be unique factory goods. And then we'll also have some more petroleum and plastics up here. So kind of the whole spectrum of things. And I think we're looking pretty good. Now, the one place we are not quite done with yet. So I kind of just want to see, I guess I clicked on the name Drake Oil, and it looks like we're doing okay. We're actually fairly balanced. That's surprising. That is very surprising to me. We're making a lot of money, so I'm happy about that. Let's go back over to our old Drake Oil because we've got to eliminate some of this stuff. You burn this place down and they bust right out of here. And honestly, it's for the best. We're going to free up a ton of land that has been used for some uses that aren't great and get rid of them and be able to redevelop this to be something a little bit better. So some of these storage facilities, though, the oil isn't going to be helpful over here, but anything with a finished product, we still have factories over here. I don't know that we're going to keep the factories all that much longer. In fact, why don't you let me know in the comments, do you think that we should wholesale redevelop this site, or do you think that we should just kind of work around some of the stuff that's already here? I could see either happening. In fact, what might be the most likely in reality would be for this land to become vacant, remediation to occur, TIF to be used to clean up some of these sites, and then the city offering these for some high density to recoup some of the investment that they've had to make into these sites. So with that, though, you might end up with some incompatible uses next to each other for a while, and some mitigation measures taken to make it a little bit more palatable. Think things like a thick row of landscaping in front of one of these buildings, conversion of this, something to make it a little more palatable, because this would not be a fun place to live with all the freight traffic going through here. Oh, one oil industry building left. We have that maintenance building. I don't really think we have anything else, though. So Drake Oil officially moves. So one of the original industries once again has relocated to a place where they have more room to expand. And you can see that this is just a more significant operation that could continue to expand in the future as their needs grow. And traffic through here is excellent. They've got their own interchange. They've got their own cargo train facility. It's operating effectively. It is serving this as well. We don't have a full spectrum of movements through here. And you know what? I think that's fine. You don't need every facility to do everything. And this is still doing some of the things we needed to do. You can see that there are things coming in here serving Weaver Industrial Park. That is an excellent name. Thanks again, sir, for the suggestion, and thanks for watching the videos. And now we have this going through here. There's just two more things I want to do before we take inventory of what we've done. And the very first one is right here. We're going to take this down a notch. And then same thing here. We kind of carved into the cliffside. I don't think that we would want to leave it like that. There we go. Looking much better, functioning appropriately, and our traffic flow is unchanged relatively. I think we were at 85 before this build, and now we're at 84. Oh, 85 again. There we go. So things are looking absolutely exceptional. I think this is functioning really well, and I'm pleased with it. And that is when we take inventory of what we've done and have a brief city tour. Right, and can an oil industry be attractive? I think that this one can be. I think that there's one thing that we need to do, though, and I know that we've talked about this. The whole build right now, all the vehicles are electric vehicles. So you might wonder, why are we doing this? And we talked about it a bit in the intro, but the whole purpose of this refinery now is for jet fuel. So jet fuel is one of the most energy-dense fuels that there are. It's one of the reasons why I've watched a couple of videos where they've talked about the last vehicles that will become electrified, and it will be planes, because it's just really a challenge. So what we're going to do here is, number one, I want to crank the production rate of this. We'll see if it actually can keep up. And then the other thing I want to do is make this Drake Jet Fuel Refinery. So that's what this is. They're making jet fuels, and I think that we're going to leave it here. I think that this has been a fairly successful build. Drake Oil has room to expand if they want, and the downtown has reclaimed some land for maybe uses that are a bit more compatible with the downtown area. I do think that this is a smart solution for a couple of reasons. I think that if Drake Oil would have expanded down here, the last thing you'd want would be to have a bunch of chemical plants in the downtown area. If there were another fire, that could be a huge explosion in the downtown area. Also, quite an eyesore seeing that coming into downtown. And now we have some opportunity to redevelop some uses that are more compatible with this type of environment. And over here, you don't really have to worry about that. You have this refinery along the highway. It would seem to be a much more suitable place for this type of oil operation. So I know that Marcel's sad about this. I know that Verde Beach residents for a clean future are sad about this. But if we're going to have it, this is probably the best place for it. So I hope that you've enjoyed this build. If you did, please hit the like button. If you're not subscribed to the channel, please consider doing so. And I really can't wait to see you in the next one. Thank you so much for joining me today. Take care. Bye-bye.